everyone gets AT&T's best deal on the new iPhone 14 Pro with the incredible camera. So, people currently listening to comedy podcasts, and people listening to political podcasts, and people listening to true crime podcasts who actually can't stop listening to true crime podcasts and it's ruling their lives. The point is, everyone, new and existing customers. Ask how to get up to $800 off the new iPhone 14 Pro with eligible trade-in. Visit att.com or our stores for details. Terms and restrictions may apply.
Okay, today we're going to do something simpler. Okay, not every day must talk about very deep personal finance or investment related content. It is a special 5th Tuesday of the month. So we're going to spend some time to talk a little bit about finding peace in an era of highly digitalized finance space, right? I think things have changed for sure with all these kind of aggregators, Robo-advisors and shopping apps, payment channels are so easy, and we are experiencing a shift in the way we interact with finance, interact with the digital world, and how our money, investments, everything is changing. So I thought let's take this time to wind down a little bit and talk a little bit about some of these observations that I have, and how do you then maneuver yourself through this highly digitalized finance space. Welcome home. So good morning, everyone. I welcome you to another day with the Financial Coconut. In our podcast, we're debunking financial myths, discovering best financial practices, and discussing financial strategies that fits our unique life. You get it. Ultimately empowering us to create a life we love while managing our finances well. And today we're going to spend some time to talk about finding peace in a highly digitalized financial environment. So, okay, I'm sure by now you have realized that there are all these kind of quote-unquote fintech apps, right? There's really a lot more fin than tech, huh? But anyway, they have come on to kind of increase our access to investments, whether is it through brokerages or robo-advisors, or they have come on to increase our ease of moving money around, right? With like Payla, with like PayPal, with Revolut, TransferWise. They've all made it easier, cheaper, and for like a better way to put it, they made moving money around just a click away, just a face scan away. So it's much more accessible. You have a lot of choices, you have a lot of tools out there, but also to tag along with this whole, increase of tools, increase of access, increase of choices, increase of options out there, there's also a lot more information that you need to work with today, right? All these investment gurus, all these kind of promotion hacks, and they're like websites just doing promo codes. Amazing, right? All your miles and whatnot, right? So there's just so much information and so much access out there that honestly it's pretty scary, pretty jarring. Like, how do you go about living a life like that, right? And especially if you're always on Instagram, you're always on Facebook. Like for me, I'm not always on, but I'm quite active because I have to talk to you guys, and it's a little bit like a part of a job kind of thing. But importantly, I'm still relatively active, and sometimes when I see some of these posts, I see some of these things that people talk about, I'm like, wow, you guys need to chill. Like, go to Bishan Park, okay? Just chill there. Don't so kanchong, like relax. Everyone is trying so hard to maximize, their upside potential, try to make more and try to minimize their cost, and they're comparing fees and whatnot. Like, wow, crazy. But okay, I get it, right? We are humans. We want to get the bang for our buck. We want to get the most. But at some point in time, you got to ask yourself, what is enough, right? And in an era where finance is highly digitalized and easily accessible, if you just have a smartphone, it's pretty hard to find some sort of peace and tranquility and recognize that money is a means to the end. It is here to serve us and help us. And, how much more do you want to worry about it, right? After you have a plan, just relax. So the very first strategy, I've talked about this a lot of time, and I want to reiterate, right? How do you find peace in an era of highly digitalized financial markets? Is turn off all your notification. Turn them all off. Whether it's your brokerage, your robo-advisor, your insurance platform, your payments platform, your shopping apps. Shopping apps are the worst. Turn off all of them, right? Your Carousel, your Amazon, your Taobao, Shopee, all turn them all off the notification. These days, if they want to get their information to you, they will use advertisements. They will use all sorts of ways to get to you. You don't need to give them easy access through, these kind of push notification. You need to understand how push notification works. Yeah? This is something that I think a lot of people don't recognize. The moment you download an app and you give them access to push notification, because I worked in an app company before, I know that, right? I could just engineer a push, right? As long as I don't push you too much to a point whereby you delete the app, I will find patterns to push. I will find like the right time to push notification to you, whether is it a certain particular timing, a certain event out there, or the copy. I write a certain copy to get you attracted. It's like instead of saying like, oh, there's a 50% discount, I'll use things like a 1-for-1, just limited to today or something like that, right? So there's a lot of copy, a lot of the way things are being done. It's out there to engineer your attention. They want to get you, right? So in other words, it's disproportionately disadvantage to you if you turn on your notification, right? They have so much data that they know how to tick you, how to get you, and sometimes you end up buying things that you don't need. You end up, shifting your portfolio as and when that it does not really matter. You cannot sleep because the stock market move, and it's not very healthy, right? And if you're trying to manage your money long term, if you're trying to manage your long term financial health and mental health and life, then you should really not be too in touch with these apps, right? And just to put it bluntly, you will know when something has happened. Like these days, right, promotion is every week, every month got promo, right? And last time 10, 10, 12, 12, 11, 11, now 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, everything is coming, right? So you will know when these apps want to connect with you, or when there's a big market movement, there's some sort of shift, you will know. You don't even need to have these apps to disturb you. I generally turn off all notification on almost all apps, my social apps and everything, right? But I definitely recommend you to turn off all these so that you find a peace and you don't get too, emotionally riled up by a lot of these guys. Okay, so that's one way to go about finding peace in a highly digitalized era, other than your yoga, meditate, spend time in the real world and all those kind of things. I've said it enough. I will not say them again. And so that's that. Point number 2, how do you find peace in an era of highly digitalized financial space, is that you need to go deep instead of going broad, right? Very, very cheesy, right? I will talk to you more after a word from our sponsor. So what do I mean by going deep instead of going broad? Okay, these days everybody is a pro. Everybody act like they macam pro, okay? Because they read an article here, they watch 2 YouTube videos there, and they go from this week I'm gonna do investment in the stock market, and then after that I'm gonna go for growth stocks. Suddenly they talk about crypto, and they come back, they look at the bond market, then they tell me about treasuries. It's like, what piang? Okay, let me just put it very bluntly to you. Most people in the financial space, they are expert in 1 or 2 tools or 1 or 2 themes. That's it. People that pick stocks, they don't usually look at the macro trends. People that look at macro management, they don't look at how to study the fundamentals of certain companies, right? Or people that are invested in the gold silver market. These professionals, I'm talking about like professionals, the guys that you may not love, that work at Shenton Way, work at Wall Street, work at wherever. These guys are very focused. If they are full-time precious metal traders, then they will only be in the space. Right? They rarely cross field, they rarely go anywhere, because they understand that every tool has its nuances, every tool has its way of making things work, and it is not I watch 2 YouTube channels, suddenly I know how to do this shit. Which is why I feel like, okay, if you are looking at investing in this digital space, okay, highly digital era, then you really got to go deep, right? You really got to learn what is going on. You really got to understand how the index funds work, what are the major funds out there, what to look out for in a lot of these things. You don't need to be like super pro, like you don't need to learn how to engineer an index fund or engineer a theme fund, or build a portfolio on your own, but you need to understand sufficiently deep to be able to have a good interaction as like how do you determine a good good bond fund, determine a good company. If you're trying to pick stocks, how do bonds actually work? How do fixed income work? All those kind of things. And you want to be able to focus on a few things, right? And be very good at it over time, right? You can learn this for a few years and then you pick up another thing over a few years. It's a time thing, right? And when you go deep, you tend to be able to block out noise because you understand what you're doing, you understand what you're trying to achieve, you know what you are after. You don't get so riled up by all these media circuit and all these like promotion and whatnot that's just trying to grab your attention. And no offense out there, maybe some people are already offended, but if you're just trying to jump from one thing to another, highly likely you don't know what you're doing lah, right? And if you don't know what you're doing, you will find it very hard to do it in this space because, like I've said previously, in the past, your investments, your money is very far away from you. You have to withdraw money from an ATM. You have to, get contracts and arrange for professionals to manage your money. But these days, you can do it on your own. It's just a click away. So if you are especially uncertain about what you're doing, you just hear a bit of news there, you read a bit of things here, and then you do it, chances are you will fumble. Instead of going broad and learn all these different things out there, why not give yourself a year or two to learn deep about one thing and then go into another thing later and go into another thing later, right? There is no lack of opportunity in the market. This is truth. I personally feel so that, there's no lack of opportunity in market. If you know what you're doing, even the most mundane tools, right, can be very, very interesting and very exciting. And if you think about it, the pros out there, they only use one or two tools and they build a lifetime of profit, right? Think about it. Which brings me to point number 3, and that is fundamentally you got to define what is enough. You really have to define what is enough because, like we've said, in this era, there is an increase in access to tools, increase in access to investments, to all these different apps, and everybody's trying to get your attention. And, the way they get your attention is like, oh, we are even lower, we are giving even higher interest, we are doing this. It's always like more, or like cheaper, right? So if you don't know what is enough, many of these platforms will be able to grab your attention and stir your emotions, and they will affect your plans lah, which is not actually a problem per se. If there are certain platforms that are definitely better or they are doing much better and you really feel like okay, what they're doing it's more aligned with what you're trying to do, then okay, by all means you can shift. So the problem is not with changing platforms, the problem is not with access to tools, the problem is when you don't understand enough and all these digital platforms are using all these kind of media and advertisement to get your attention. It's very easy for you to switch around, incurring extra cost, or switch around thinking that there's a better deal, but turns out that maybe it's not the case, right? So in this era, things change very, very fast, and advertisements chase you around. They chase you around, okay? In the past, right, you don't engage with the advertisement if you think about it. Right, you can see the ad and you walk away, it does not happen. But these days, right, the ad comes in 10 different angles and they will chase you on Instagram, chase you on TikTok, chase you on Facebook, and chase you everywhere. Right, so it's very hard. So if you don't know what you want, you don't know what is enough for you, it's very easy for you to get riled up. Okay, so I think you really need to define what is enough and give yourself a pat on the shoulder when you have hit it. Right, and I fall into this actually a lot. It's you're not alone. I face this thing also. Sometimes when I already hit my goals, then I have this like shifting goalpost problems. I already hit it. Why not hit a bit more? Right, but when I backtrack and think and look at it, it's like, okay, I've already hit it. Let's just give myself a break, give myself a pat on the shoulder. Hey, you've done a good job. Let's take a break. Right, don't need to be always chasing for more. And I'm here to go and pledge, like I want you guys to go and think about it and say to yourself, like, I'm enough when I save 10,000 a month or 10,000 a year. Well, 10,000 a month, quite enough. I'm enough to get 20% year-on-year returns. I'm enough to, be able to visit a cafe once a week, right? So be able to define what is enough for you. You don't need to be very, very clear, but over time, be clearer and define for yourself what is enough so then you don't get riled up in this highly digitalized environment. Okay, so short and sweet episode. I'm just going to sum up everything today. How do you find peace in a highly digitalized financial era? Number one is to turn off all the notifications so that they don't get easy access to you. Trust me, if they want to get to you, they will find ways. Promotion, advertisements, friends sharing, giveaway, all sorts of ways, because we also do that. So we know what's going on, right? What is the matrices behind these things? Number two is go deep instead of go broad. Don't try to act like you will know a little bit of everything. That thing does not help you. Go and choose one or two strategies that you want. Go deep, learn. You'll be in a much better place. You will know what you're good at. And then, you can work from there. Over time, you pick up new tools. Number three is defining what is enough. Because when you know what is enough, it's very hard for people to rile you up with like more or cheaper or whatnot, right? So I hope you find peace in this space. Of course, go for your, walk in Bishan Park, meditate, do your thing, spend time with friends. All those things are fundamental, and it will promote a better mental health broadly and make your life better. So I hope you learned something useful today. See ya! Hey, I hope you learned something useful today and truly appreciate the extra time off to better your life with the Financial Coconut. Knowledge is that much more powerful and interesting when shared, debated and discussed. Join our community Telegram group, follow us on our socials, sign up for weekly newsletter. Everything is in the description below. If you love us and want to help us grow, definitely share the podcast with your friends and on your socials. Also, if you have some interesting thoughts to share or you know someone that you want to hear from, reach out to us through hello@thefinancialcoconut.com. With that, have a great day ahead. Stay tuned next week, and always remember, personal finance can be chill, clear, and sustainable for all. Hey guys, so I hope you learned some cool stuff today. I think there's a lack of discussion in this space about finding peace in the digital world, because things are just moving so fast, right? Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about the future of work. I mean, that's a whole new theme for April. But for later this week, we're going to spend some time with the guys from Zilliqa, right? So Zilliqa is essentially a blockchain ecosystem that is trying to do all the smart contracts kind of thing. So think of them like Ethereum, but supposedly better because they can manage more transactions. So we're going to spend some time with the commercial officer, Colin, and he has quite a strong accent, but I think he has some good juices to share. So I hope that you can get what he's trying to say, but that will come later this week. And if you have any questions about blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, hey, come to the Telegram group and we'll help you along. And if you really like this content, I know we spent a whole month talking about this. If you really like these kind of content, definitely let us know. Definitely drop us an email, DM us, talk to us on Telegram. And then we can decide if we want to kind of spin off another podcast, because that is something that's on our head, but we're not too sure about the response. So meanwhile, take care. I hope you learned something useful. See ya.
Everyone gets AT&T's best deal on the new iPhone 14 Pro with the incredible camera. So, people currently listening to comedy podcasts, and people listening to political podcasts, and people listening to true crime podcasts who actually can't stop listening to true crime podcasts and it's ruling their lives. The point is, everyone, new and existing customers. Ask how to get up to $800 off the new iPhone 14 Pro with eligible trade-in. Visit att.com or our stores for details. Terms and restrictions may apply.